This is Shane Wilson, and in today's video, I'm going to cover how you can get started with your first rental property with no money out of pocket. How can you pick up your first rental property, get that passive income, get that monthly cash flow going, and yet have no money out of pocket? I'm going to cover 3 different ways in this video today. Step 1, the first way I'm going to relate to you is actually one of the very first real estate deals I ever did. And this is how it went, basically. I had a newspaper ad. This is how long ago it was when newspaper ads actually worked. I wouldn't recommend it now, but I did have a We Buy Houses newspaper ad. I had a motivated seller call me. Motivated sellers, very important you know what that is. A motivated seller has to sell their house. They're in a situation where they're facing foreclosure, they're behind on payments, or some life situation that selling a house is not an option. They have to get out of the situation. It's these types of sellers that you want to deal with if you're a real estate investor, to where you can make these no money deals happen. So she called me. She was losing her job. She was 1 month behind on payments. So the solution I offered to her was to catch up her mortgage payments and take over her mortgage payments for her, and the deed to the house goes in my company name. This is technically called a subject to deal. That is a whole way more complicated topic than we can get into in this video. And do not do one of these deals unless you know what you're doing. But that's essentially it in a baseline. I take over and make her monthly mortgage payments for her. The deed goes in my name. And then what I told her was that, but I cannot make this deal happen until I find a tenant to rent this property first. And what I did was I marketed the property for a lease option, owner finance basically, and I obtained $5,000 down. I used that money to catch up her payments. I used that money to give her $1,000 cash to move. And I had a tenant in there and I was cash flowing. The total amount out of my pocket was $0 because I had the upfront money from the tenant, from the option, to pay her and to catch up her payment and to get the property into my name. That is a no money out of pocket, bona fide, real true story deal. And that's one of the ways you could do it. Summarize, owner financing of any sort. Doesn't have to be specifically how I did it. Owner financing of any sort that is contingent upon you finding a tenant first. Doing a lease option on that property allows you to get a down payment, which in turn allows you to fund whatever you need to fund, whether it's giving the person some money or whatnot. That is if you're getting the owner financing, getting property in your name. Second way to do this would be to actually do a sandwich lease. So in this situation, you're not actually going to own the rental property, but you're going to control the rental property. What do I mean by control? You control the usage of the property. So you're actually going to take a lease on the property, and then what you're going to do is sublease it for a higher rate. This is going to give you a cash flow, monthly cash flow, and essentially you're making the difference. This is one way you can do it. You just have to make sure that whoever you're leasing from, the master lease, understands that you are subleasing the property. Why would someone do this? Because they want the guaranteed income. If you present to them that you will make those payments every month, that is guaranteed income for them. And then you as the investor can either sublease it and generate for more, or there's a hack coming here, do an Airbnb business, because you can generate more profits with Airbnb business many times than you can doing just a long-term lease. So you can long-term lease a property, do an Airbnb, you have cash flow. You don't own the rental property, but you control it. Don't always fall into a trap that you have to own something. You can control property through a variety of ways. Leases is one of them, options is one of them, but controlling property is just as powerful in many cases as actually having that property in your name, but you don't have the liability as far as debt and traditional financing and stuff like that. So that is the second way you could go about getting property, no money down, your first rental property. The third way, use a partner. How do you think most of these multi family complexes are bought. And they're not bought by an individual. They're usually bought by syndicates. They're usually bought by people who are partnered up and went in together on a project. So if you have the know-how, you have the time, there's someone out there who has money sitting in their bank account and they're losing with inflation right now. Their cash is getting eaten alive because inflation is just so rampant. They're losing money month in, month out. Offer them an investment. If they have the funds, then go in and find a good returning rental property. This is not using your money. This is using other people's money. This is not traditional financing, but know what you're doing. Never take someone else's money and not know what you're doing. Never take someone else's money who isn't prepared for the risk. So don't go take, your grandma's life savings to do this. No, use a person who has money, who understands how money works, and is willing to invest in you. And if they lost that money, they would be okay. If what we called seasoned investors, do not work with new people and people who are not in this business. So that is the third way you can go and pick up some rental property using absolutely none of your own money. If you enjoyed this video, I have some free resources. Check out the resources at the ticker below, and hopefully I'll have more videos coming out. If you like this video, let me know. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.